It's that time again. Fantastic. See, having a little bit of a moment. My mind was so all over the place. I had to go on ahead and redo the one video that I just literally split up in about two videos. One being the upgraded transmission mount. The other one being I got my SHO back. And now we're going to talk about kerosene flushes and viscosity. Upon which making this video, I made a wonderful discovery. I almost forgot the oil filter to take to the mechanic for my son's engine build. So I'm glad I'm making the video. Give me 1 second. I apologize for that. All the little wiggling around and shit. So, where are we at? Kerosene flushes. Good, bad, indifferent, the whole nine. Been getting a lot of comments on these. Some of them about 90, I'm going to say anywhere between a good 90 and a 98%. I'm going to say 98% good. About 2% bad. Some people agree with it, some people don't. Some people question it, which is fine. And I encourage you to question it. I am not one of those that you go on ahead and you believe me because, I'm the next big fucking thing. No. Question it. Whenever you see anything on YouTube, anything on social media, question it. Listen to what the individual's got to say, do your research, and see if it makes sense. I'm going over the kerosene flushes because a lot of people have been commenting on my posts. A lot of the posts that were being commented on were a lot of the old videos. When I first started doing kerosene flushes, there was no formula. There was just like use kerosene. Okay? How did I come to the discovery of kerosene? I'm going to use this as an example. It's the quart that says gunk engine flush. That was my go-to product, believe it or not. Took it and it would clean my engine out and I'd see the garbage come out. And it was 1 quart. I followed the directions and poof, it would clean my engine. I'm like, all right, cool. I was one day in the garage, spilt some of it on my hand. Couldn't get the smell off. But the smell was very familiar. Couldn't figure it out. Until one day I was in the garage filling up my kerosene heater. I'm like, I smelled that before. I said, that can't be what the fuck I think it is. Just so happened I have another bottle of gunk. Smelled it. I'm like, son of a bitch. Spending $10 a quart? Nah. I'll go spend $5 for a gallon. How's that? So I ended up finding a gas station with it. Again, kerosene, just colored kerosene. Was talking to my grandfather, give you a little bit of backstory. Talking to my grandfather at the time that we kind of got along. And he would tell me how they used to take care of their engines. They used to run kerosene. He never gave me the formula. So, again, certain things started to come up. People were like, hey, look at these stupid videos. Why don't you make a video? I said, you really want me to make a video? So, again, when I first made the video, it was on an extreme level. If you guys go back to my old videos, they're very extreme. I was using gallons of kerosene and running it through my engine. Why would anybody be crazy enough to do that? When I first did it, what ended up happening was my first SHO. I followed the regimen, did like a quart or two, and it was black. Like, I kid you not, I stuck my finger while I drained the flush, stuck my finger in it to spread the oil, and it was not dark brown. It was like a gray black. So I'm like, fuck. It took my entire body weight for me to kick the drain plug loose. I'm like, no one's ever really worked on this car. So again, I bought the vehicle used. Lo and behold, I'm on my second SHO. I got rid of the first one because I had issues with it with the brakes. Got rid of it. Got tired of it. Because of that first experience with the SHO and having such a dirty engine, I didn't know what the formula was. There was nothing given to me. There was nothing on the internet. Nothing. Talk to different mechanics. Nothing. They're like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should just change your oil. And you're the mechanic? God damn. I said, leave you fuckers alone. There are great mechanics in this world, and some of them, well, needless to say, I was coming across some atrocities. Could just change my oil. Okay, that's probably what this dickhead did, and that's why it came out back when I showed him the photo. He's like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, you're telling me to change my oil. That's what this fucking dickhead did. That whole bucket is filled with literally 2.5 gallons of pure kerosene, and it is black. So as time went on, I was starting to get comments. Most of them were good. Hell, I was even getting comments overseas. Even some of the Arabs were like, we should try that. My buddy, I didn't think about that. So, lo and behold, the comments were flying in. The comments were flying in. People were asking questions. What is the ratio? And I'm like, look, they're coming for me to help. What do I do? I don't want to be the type of person that goes on ahead and gives somebody some information and it be false. And then, well, I listen to you and you fuck my engine up. Like I told everybody, do this at your own risk. But I did tell everybody in the upcoming videos, give me a moment. Let me see if I can figure out a ratio. Because there's no ratio. And everybody said the same thing. There's no ratio. I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. We more or less, through the community, we end up trying to come up with a ratio that best fit certain cylinder size. Also, certain cylinders, okay, case in point, you got a 4, 6, and an 8 cylinder. My son's 6 cylinder only takes 4.5 quarts. When we end up changing the oil pan on it, I measured it. Yeah, that son of a bitch only takes 4.5 quarts. However, the SHO is a 5 quart. Solid 5 quart. Some 6 cylinders do take 6 quarts. So we try to come up with a different ratio. That's why we're at where we're at. But a lot of the comments were from the very old videos when I first started it. Why it was done for such an extreme level and to the degree that I was doing it in is because I didn't have a formula. I had to kind of roll with it, especially for a used vehicle. Keep in mind, when we buy these vehicles, if you're buying used vehicles, you are buying a physical unknown factor. That unknown factor, you have no idea what the previous owner did or did not do to that engine. Did they baby it? Did they use great fuel? Did they use good oil? Use good filter? Did they seafoam it? Did they go on ahead and really do their best to take care of this engine? 99, if not 100% of the time, you're going to find yourself in a position where you stick your finger in there and all of a sudden there's these chunks of sludge. You'll pop the oil cap and you'll go, I got a blown head gasket. Oh, that's moisture. That's what that is. Moisture got into it, and that's all it is. What helps to get that flushed out? Kerosene. Kerosene works best hot. I learned that when I was working at the beer company, learning chemicals. Certain chemicals work best cold. Case in point, I bullshit you not. Purple Power. Purple Power works best when you soak an area, like wheels, you soak it with water, then spray it on. It's very acidic. Certain things you want to use cold. Certain things you want to use hot. Kerosene is one of those you want to use hot. What do I mean? You want to pour cold kerosene into a hot engine. Let it run for a little bit. Again, per the videos that I've done before, you could run them anywhere between a good 5 to 15 minutes, okay? And you could be done with it from there. Pour your fresh oil in there, per your choosing, and the next one, do it again when you're ready for your next oil change. So that's on that note. So just so that there is an understanding on why I did it, what I did, and why was it so extreme, again, I didn't have a formula. So I had to use what I was dealt with, what I'm looking at, what I'm physically looking at as I'm draining my oil. That first SHO, I kid you not, I did a 4-gallon kerosene flush. I did such an extreme kerosene flush, and it was a I'm not gonna lie, it was quite dangerous. I literally ran pure. I drained all that oil out and ran pure kerosene. Ran that engine for about a half hour, and it was black. Was not brown. Stuck my finger in it as hot as it was, and when it split, it was gray black. For those of you that are mechanic, you know that that oil has beyond surpassed its life when it is gray black. That's what I was getting out. That was the first 2 gallons. The second 2 gallons that I put in it was about an amber color. I finally got the amber color out of it, and it was a night and day difference. But again, I wanted it all out, and I wanted it all out now. I didn't want to wait. What I then ended up developing was, let's be patient. Let's do a kerosene flush every oil change. Again, depending on the vehicle, depending on the vehicle that was just recently purchased. If we just recently purchased it, then let's do it. Let's do the next 4 oil changes with a kerosene flush. Taking the 2 quarts, putting a little bit of a ratio in it, running it for about 10-15 minutes. Boom, done. Next oil change, do the same thing. Being patient. And again, using good oil, using great fuel. We only use Shell in our household. I will not use anything else. I've tried other gas stations, no avail. My son's Buick Regal GS, we tried BP, and check engine light came on. Filled it back up with Shell Premium, went away. It's that finicky. Same thing with the Taurus. Taurus was the exact same thing. I tried it with other fuels, did not like it. Did not respond very well. So as we started going through the comments, something else came up. Someone caught it. I was using racing fuel. Why would I use racing fuel in a vehicle, in a daily? I hang around with a bunch of hotheads and also some hot rodders. I have a family member who's an engine builder. And the stories are all the same about all these hot rodders. The oil passage that allows oil to go back down to the oil pan are oversized. People who run stock vehicles have stock orifices that go back down there. My thought was, okay, if I'm beating the hell out of this thing, I need to hurry up and get that oil down as fast as I can. Well, how do I get oil down there faster? My thought process was, well, if it's thinner, it'll go down there faster. It's one thing that when you get oil hot, it thins out. So if this oil is thin when it's hot, I can only imagine what this oil would be when it's really hot, which was the racing, which was very, very thin oil. I had many success with it. My only problem with it was hard to get because it was not something that you can get off the shelf. So what I opted for was something a little bit lighter. Mine calls for a 5W30. I now use, sorry about that, 0W20 Royal Purple. So I did the experiment with my Park Avenue when I had it, weight per weight, going from, I think I was using Castro at the time. I decided to embark on a better performing oil. I tried the Royal Purple. I did do the kerosene flush to flush out any of the old shit that was in there, making sure that whatever was in there, and even though I was using Castro, I believe I was using synthetic, I flushed it out and used the Royal Purple. I did feel a night and day difference. It was smoother. I said, okay, we're on to something. As later on things progressed, I ended up getting into my first SHO, did some more experimenting with that, ran thinner oil, And finally, I got into my second SHO. Got rid of the first one. I got rid of the first one because of brake issues. I got tired of it. So got rid of it. Moved over into my new SHO. Ironically enough, the SHO that is this. So this is my second SHO, and ironically enough, the first one looked identically the same. So I thought about it. I said, well, let me go on ahead and let me baby this thing. Let me also use my grandfather's regimen. He would change his oil every 3 months, regardless of miles. I want to conduct that experiment to see if it works. Sure shit, it worked. Regardless of the mileage, every 3 months. Regardless. If it, usually mileage, depending on certain individuals, could be anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 miles. Other individuals are like clockwork. They're like, well, I do mine at 3,000. I said, okay. Let's just say within 3 months, okay, you're not at 3,000. So you don't do it. Again, that's per the individual. Me, regardless. I can care less if I've got 1,000 miles, 500, or pretty much close to this one where we're at like almost 4,000 because I travel a lot for my job. But we are at that 3 months. So doing it at that, I've been successful at it. The results have been great. The vehicles are driving much better. My old lady's Honda CRV was consuming oil when we started going over to this regimen, and hers calls for 0W20. We moved her over to the Royal Purple, moved her over to Shell, moved her over to this regimen. Kerosene flushed the vehicle, kept an eye on it, and so far, no consumption of oil. None whatsoever. But we do keep up with it. That vehicle is very finicky. Hondas are very finicky, so we keep up with, whenever I change a part, it is a Honda part. Certain fluids, I will keep Honda. Transmission, diff fluid were just recently changed. Those were Honda OEM fluids. Engine oil, Royal Purple all day. So the gentleman had, we were having a polite conversation. He brought it to my attention about viscosities and things of that nature. I'm definitely intrigued. I definitely want to learn more. He did bring some things to my attention that, again, when oil gets hot, it does get thin. And he's right. He's absolutely right. It does get thin. Being careful on what we're doing to our vehicles and what we're trying to get out of it and the experiments that we do. However, and this isn't a however, just in general. Why we have performance is because we do some people are choosing to do the experiments on their own cars. And they gather that information and they share that information. That's why we have what we have today. That's why we have the oils that we have today. I am intrigued of what he said. I'm going to take a look at the chart that he sent me. I want to take a look at it and further investigate. This is going to help me with the Buick Regal GS build. We are going to go on ahead and we're going to monster it out. How monster? It's not going to be 1,000 horsepower. But we are looking into anywhere between 4 to possibly no more than 5. Again, baby monster, nothing too crazy. So upon building such a vehicle, there are things to consider. Okay? With heat, things expand. All those components that are inside that vehicle, they're metal. They are going to expand. My biggest worry, which is why I went over to such a thin oil when I first did it in some of the videos that you guys will see, it'll say 0W10 or 0W8, was because I was beating the hell out of the Taurus. That's heat. Things are going to expand. It'll get to the point where if you get that fucker really hot, it's not going to let certain viscosities go through. Again, that was my thinking. That was my theory. When him and I had a polite conversation on it, he said, I can get you a chart. I said, get it for me. I want to read this. I'm eager to learn. I'm also hoping that everybody will be also eager to learn with us, learning together. If anybody has any information on kerosene flushes, on what their ancestors have done, maybe their dad, their grandfather, their great-grandfather, maybe even a war veteran. If they've ever heard of this and they had a ratio and they have some information on it, this will help out the community. We are doing our best to go on and ahead and take care of our vehicles. Why we are choosing to kerosene flush is because we are tired, all of us, of being taken advantage of. What am I getting at? You can see all these commercials. Oh my God, if you use my brand, and you're gonna take off, and it's gonna feel like 1,000 horsepower. I get the fuck out of here. We start using their oils, okay, and then all of a sudden now we have issues. Well, why is this happening? I moved over to your oil. You said this was your best oil. I'm not saying me, but you got these commercials. Oh, use Pennzoil, use Castrol. Oh, it helps clean your engine. I saw one in particular video. I know he's full of shit. He's like, look how clean this engine is. This engine was spotless. I am talking about spotless. This thing looked like it had probably maybe 500 miles. This thing looked like it just turned on and just clunked out. It was a fresh engine. That's what it looked like. Some individual was like, yeah, he did routine maintenance. And then he used this oil. Full of shit. No fucking way. Wasn't even varnish on it. Every single oil creates varnish, which is why I use seafoam. Seafoam will remove that varnish, which is that amber color that's in your engine. So if you ever open up the oil cap and you're like, what the fuck is all that shit? Why is it amber color? It's because of varnish. So, that's why I started doing kerosene flushes. I just couldn't take moving over to an oil brand. They said that it's gonna keep your engine clean. It's gonna give you that power. And then lo and behold, they're full of shit. I thought Royal Purple was full of shit. Tried it. Night and day difference. Felt the difference. We're on to something. Royal Purple it is from here on out. So, choosing the best oil filter that best suits your situation, that's also up for interpretation. What I like, and again, insurance, I will use this as my example. Where is my flashlight? I will do my best on this, so bear with me. So you see the orifices? Okay. I had one where they were very tiny. I said, yeah. Nope. AC Delco makes an oil filter for this vehicle, for my SHO. And it is literally just a cage holding the filament. Again, making sure that when that oil pump is pumping oil, it has the ability to escape. Yes, I want it to filter. Yes, I want it to filter as much as possible, keeping my engine clean from any type of metal contaminants. But I also want to make sure that oil flows. An oil filter that has the inability to flow oil properly, that's dangerous. You're going to end up blowing your engine. That's a fact. Every mechanic will tell you that. Question is, it's just like every story. Oh, use my oil filter. It's going to clean. It's going to polish your oil. It's going to take black oil and turn it into diamonds. Again, the bullshit stories that we got to go through, we do our best. So my research led me to that. Again, great success. That's all I did. I looked at the orifice. I said, okay. I went on ahead, took a look at the thread, found the oil filter here, and just went over two spots, just looking at it, just eyeing it. Hey, this oil filter looks like this one. Went over to the counter, matched up the threads, looked inside. This one has better orifices in it. The other one has real tiny little small orifice. Looked like the oil would struggle to get through there. That's not what I want. I want oil flow. Let the filament do its job. But again, if you're doing routine maintenance, okay, like clockwork, you should be able to go on ahead between your kerosene flushes and your seafoaming, okay, you should be able to go on ahead and get rid of all the contaminants. And if you're doing it every 3 months, like clockwork, she'll remain clean. She'll remain running really good. So I really do hope that this video does help, does clarify why before it was so extreme and how we got to where we were at right now. And again, there was a lot of comments. Most of them were great. Had a couple of them that were, how should we say, not so great. I had one gentleman who mentioned about a 3-ring binder. Again, I didn't get mad, but talk to me. I'm not going to get mad. I want you to talk to me. Tell me your concern, because if you have a legitimate concern that I'm not catching, fuck, maybe you can help me and the community out. For the most part, needless to say, he ended up getting his ass handed to him by everybody else. Would be like, yeah, my grandfather and my this, and I do it to this day. Yeah, I'm a mechanic, and yeah, I do it. And it just, needless to say, he never commented ever again. Again, kerosene does work. It does. I apologize for such a long video. Thank you for joining me. I do really hope you have a restful, peaceful night. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and Happy New Year. So hopefully the guy will go on ahead and, I forgot your name, but yeah, I am going to go on ahead and embark on it. There's the kerosene story. I really don't have much else. If there's something that I missed, put it in the comment. Hey, you kind of missed this. Can you go over it? Can you make another video? I do my best not to comment because there's so many individuals that are starting to subscribe and starting to comment. Videos are my best way to go on ahead and answering everybody's questions all at once. Again, I apologize for such a long video. Hopefully this works. Hopefully it answers the journey of how we got to the kerosene flush, why we got to the kerosene flush, and we're still embarking as a community to go on ahead and find what that ratio is. For right now, if you looked at the other videos, and I should say ratio on there, go back to that video. I cover the ratio. And again, something light, nothing too crazy. If you're doing it every three months, you'll be fine. When do you stop using kerosene? Case in point, me. When I do the oil changes tomorrow, I've got about 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Technically, I got 4. Yeah, I've got about 4 cars to do this weekend. Kerosene flush? Yeah, I can kiss my ass. The why part, let me tell you why. It's 30 degrees out here over in Chicago. So it's not too bad here in my garage. Needless to say, I don't want to be in here long. I just want to be able to take it and drain it. Why am I not doing the kerosene flush in January? It's cold. Quite frankly, it's cold. And because we do a minimum of 3 kerosene flushes a year, spring, summer, fall, I can skip this one. My other reasoning is my torpedo heater is starting to go out. It's hit and miss. Sometimes it'll turn on, sometimes it'll turn off. I ain't got time to be fighting with this thing. So this is going to be the one winter where I recoup my revenue and start getting ready for next winter, buying myself probably something for the garage where it heats up the garage, where I can go on ahead and continue that. But this January, unfortunately, I will be missing that. That one time that I miss it isn't going to hurt any of the vehicles because we've already been kerosene flushing it for years. So we're good on that. But for the most part, keep doing it. You'll see it. You'll see all the debris coming out of there. You'll see all the little bit of carbon that comes out of the sludge and all that. All right. Again, hopefully this helps. Again, comment away. And we'll see you on the next one. Holla at your boy.